But you know what I was thinking first off is, do you appreciate life, or do you think of it as a struggle?
Oh, I definitely appreciate life. I joke with all the guys in the band that I'm going to live to be 100. I mean, I obviously enjoy life, and but life's lessons. Sometimes they're a little bit more than I bargained for, and just have to gotta roll with it.
Are you still a guy thinking that there's a lesson to be learned today and tomorrow and that? Or
I do believe that the day you stop learning is the day that you die, and unfortunately, the human ego, it doesn't always allow that. Most people think by the time they're 18 they know everything, and they don't want to learn anything else, and then you really get stuck in your ways, and good luck with that one. Yeah.
Is there a biggest lesson you've learned in life? I mean, when you go through heroin addiction and being a parent and, I don't know, starting a band, I mean, God, there's a gazillion lessons, but is there one? Is there one that you got to go, yeah, that turned my life around?
Well, I mean, the biggest lesson that I think anybody can learn, and as me, it's been a continual thing, is that music is the only area of my life I have a little bit of control. The rest, and that's limited. I mean, I got a crew of great guys who work for me. Right. I got a great band, and on the road and in the studio and whatever, I'm the boss.
Right.
So, that's great, but real life is not that way.
Yeah.
And so that's the biggest lesson, is that I have control of zero. And
you're not the boss man at home?
Well, to some extent.
Yeah.
But I'm not the only one there.
Yeah.
So.
But that's a good thing to have that team. I mean,
yeah.
I'm a married guy. I'm with kids, same as you, and I don't think I could actually do it on my own. Plenty of people do.
Mm-hmm.
But there are times when I'm at my wit's end and I kind of go, take care of this, please. I need to walk out of the room,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think you wrote a great song on your latest release called "Writing on the Wall" about parenting and wishing for your kids. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a tough song to write.
Yeah, I bet.
mean, my older son is a lot like me, and sometimes that's good, and sometimes that's bad. And
the good and bad traits we share, right?
Yeah, and I feel like everyone's got to find their own path. And my kids are no different. They've got to find what works and what doesn't work. And it's been a great, actually, I mean, another lesson that I've learned is that, I've never really learned anything unless pain was involved.
Yeah.
I mean, if everything's going great, well, it's really not a whole lot to learn from. You're not really in that position of you're not receiving, you're not open to trying something new or whatever. It's just like, hey, everything's cool. Don't mess around with it. But so, I had a guy tell me once that pain is good and extreme pain is extremely good. And that every time that I have gone through pain, I've had to grow from it.
Yeah.
Emotionally and spiritually. So, it's been actually something that has helped our family, and helped work on issues that, needed addressing.
Can we stay in parenting world for a minute? Mm-hmm. I think what the hardest thing for me is to think how much I was my kids' dad so much better when they were younger, and now it's like as they're growing older, we don't connect as much. Have you found that? Isn't that weird? I mean, but it's real.
The teenage years are crazy. I mean, they don't want to be with you. They don't want to talk to you. They don't want to show affection.
Right.
And, and that's without any problems. You know, and it's very hard. You know, I mean, I did not have a very good example of parenting growing up. So a lot of times my initial reaction, I relate so much to some of the TV I watch and the Bernie Mac show.
Right.
I mean, I relate so much to Bernie Mac and that series of like, and how he thinks about kids. Like, you know, I mean, it's insane.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, this is great and this is funny, and I relate to this, but this isn't real. And for me, I guess the hardest thing is just not to take it personal.
Yeah.
You know,
that is the hard thing.
Put their headphones on and shut me out. Maybe they just want to hear music, and maybe they're going through a lot of it. A lot of it is that I didn't get that opportunity to experience my adolescence. I had to really grow up quick, and I had to do it without my parents pretty much from the age of 15 and a half on. And that was probably better than staying there. So it's very hard for me it's not like I can go back to sophomore year in high school and say if it was a normal family, I would have been much more well adjusted, you know. So I don't have that as a kind of a template. Right. So it's been a little extra hard to figure things out.
So do you feel a little cheated by God or whoever? I mean, do you feel like, hey, why was I given the short end of the stick in this particular area?
The only time I feel that way is when at 50 years old, I'm still having to, like, you know, deal with something that, you know, obviously is related to the past.
Right.
It's a pattern. It's a pattern maybe I've been doing for 45 years that I don't even know what it is.
Right.
And that's when I just say, this is friggin' more than I bargained for. You're asking me to put my left shoe on first when I've been putting my right shoe on first for 45 years. Yeah. But you know what? I mean, I'm all for, like, outside help, and I'm all for, like, you know, that's one thing that since I got clean that I've been able to, you know, that's my wife says is my saving grace, is that I'm always willing to, you know, I may put up a fight at first, but within a day or two, I'm like, all right, you know, I'll try it, or maybe I was wrong there, maybe I was harsh, maybe, you know, maybe there is another way, maybe there is someone else's point of view, not just mine. Yeah.
We're born like six weeks apart. Does 50 get you all in a bunch, being 50 years old? Feels like a different number than 40 and 30 to me. I don't know why.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm in better shape than I was when I was 40. I'm you know, I get to go, and my therapy is boxing.
Really?
And you know, it gets the aggression out. It lets the endorphins in my head. It makes me calmer. It gives me, like, you know, I'm confident, and by being confident, I'm able to handle situations more calmly.
Wow.
You know, so that, and then I plan to get back to the hot yoga, Bikram yoga, because
I've done yoga.
The flexibility I'm learning is almost more important than any muscle growth or tone or any of that.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and it enhances, you know, spirituality, my spiritual contact, which can never be done too much as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. So what is your spiritual contact? Do you think there's a God out there, or?
Yeah, I mean, I do think there's a higher being. I do think there's a creator. I do think that there is a higher power. But it does not, for me, although I sometimes use religious icons as symbolism. Yeah. It is not the religious doctrine or dogma, you know, that is, because I, you know, although I do feel you can get stuff from Christianity or I feel just as open to that as I am to Buddhism or, Muslim or whatever,
Hey, if we can raise the level of light in this world, I guess I don't care where it comes from.
Exactly, and you have to do something, I've never been a flag waver, I'm never like, even though it's well known I'm a vegetarian and, practice spiritual whatever, but never been like, do it my way or do it this or if you don't vote, Democratic,
right.
or whatever,
Yep.
I kind of keep that to myself, but ultimately it does come down to humility, I feel, and service and community.
Yeah.
Those are great ways for me to kind of stay grounded and realize that's part of my, I guess that would be part of my spiritual practice.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel like when you write music and you perform, is that part of you giving back to your community, if you will?
No, but I guess it is in a way. We do like benefits and we do fundraisers and we do things like that. That's more how I see it. I don't see what I'm doing every night playing in front of a crowd as like, I'm, some like, I'm providing them hopefully with entertainment and a good show. I've always taken pride in that.
Yeah.
I give 150% every night.
Right.
But I don't look at it as like that's not how I feel. That's not how I give back.
But don't you think you're throwing hope all over the room when you're singing your words? Because you sing a lot about us being broken, right? Mm-hmm. Well, in this places where we're maybe in, I don't know if desperation is the word, but I'll just use it for the time being. Mm-hmm. But somehow it's like you can pull yourself out of the muck. That's the basic gist I get from almost everything you've written.
I guess that provides a certain amount of optimism or hope. Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
I love the words in Through These Eyes. Just the opening words. I've seen love and I've seen hate and blah blah blah, and I've seen God's holy grace. And then you end it with found myself again, but nearly lost my mind. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What do the last words mean? What does that? How does that bring the whole song together for you?
Well, I guess it all comes back down to that more than I bargained for thing. It's like, you think at a certain age you've become a man, and it's funny because I'm writing a book right now.
Oh,
and when I'm meeting with these guys who are helping me write it, I was telling them, I don't want this book to be a typical rock book. I will give you war stories and I will give you scenarios that are candid and graphic but I really want this book, but I also don't want to write some sort of self-help book, and I don't want to go that extreme, but I do want the gist of the book to be about my struggle to become a man, and it's funny, I went to this retreat recently and was really informative about just like if you felt unsafe or unloved as a child, or even take it even further, the chaos that must have been going on when I was in my mother's womb, and how basically you bring, so out of the gate, you got strikes against you,
right?
And I was able to get. I'm so grateful. I got clean up off drugs and alcohol when I was 23. I was so lucky to have already hit some sort of really heavy emotional bottom. It wasn't I guess it was situational as well. You know, I was almost homeless and I was in jail all the time. And every time I was in jail, I was, you know, kicking heroin cold turkey. And so, I mean, that helped me reach this bottom. But I mean, for the first 12 years of sobriety, I lived alone with myself and a cat. And I didn't have to really, and I painted houses for my first 5 years till I didn't have to work anymore.
Right.
But I didn't have a whole lot of life's things where I had to, you know,
grow up, right?
Grow up.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't have someone telling me that, hey, if you sleep from every girl from California to Maine, that, you know, that's harmful, A. B, it's self-destructive.
Right.
And C, you know, you're really just not going to develop much of a relationship with yourself.
Yeah.
So, you know, I've had to figure out a lot of this stuff later on in life, and thank God I've got a wife that, you know, is patient, and but yeah, I mean, so I guess that in answer to your question, that line, I mean, it's just like you know, these things that come up when they come up, whether it's getting clean or having to find a God, or having to learn how to have fun, clean and sober, or learning how to have a relationship with a friend or family, or your wife or whatever. It's like it still presents challenges, and that's the only time I feel like, you know, hopeless, or like I don't know what more I can be doing right now, or I get frustrated and I don't see an answer, an attainable answer quickly that I can just grab and go, oh, here it is. Okay.
I see signs of you turning into a man through your lyrics, I'll say. If that's a fair, and maybe I see them more in myself. Maybe that's more accurate, right? But like, I'm even going back to now, I was wrong, but there's a time when you're living bad and you've turned yourself around, right? Things that you just sort of talked about. But when you actually look in the mirror and go, my bad, my fault. Because too many times that finger's been going all over the place.
Sure.
Pointing out to everybody else why they're keeping me down. Why things aren't happening for me. And that's why you write that song?
Yeah.
Because of your growth and maturity, right? Right. That's really what it is, right?
And it was great because at that time, not a whole lot of in rock and roll music, it's kind of like, you know, even if you were wrong, you don't really admit it.
Right, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, for years, rock and roll has just been like, hey, that's what I do. That's who I am.
Right, yeah.
Take it or leave it, or whatever, you know.
Yeah, it's a big thing when you drop your ego a little bit and go, wow.
And that, I think that was that seems to be what I think the fans appreciate most about my writing is when I am able to drop that guard and be honest. And
well, and those are the big lessons for me learned too, is that I can be a part of it rather than and grow inside because I'm able to drop, you know, and just be vulnerable and honest to people, you know. So that's so thank you for doing that, because those are big steps, especially for me to do it individually. It's a big step for you to do it individually and quote unquote publicly, you know, to lay it out there.
Well, I get a lot that the most common thing that people come up to me and say is that, hey man, you know, your music got me through some hard times, and I say, you know, I just reply, me too. You know, because I wasn't really writing them for them.
Right.
I was writing them for me. You know, I must have been having to go. I was going through something, or needed to get through it, and that's how I did it. And but that's pretty great that that happens.
I'll jump to Bakersfield in California, Hustle and Flow. Because I think you're in a place of feeling broken, but you're searching for direction. If not, maybe in Bakersfield, searching for forgiveness a little bit. But there's a line in Bakersfield that I love. I can't hardly fake it, girl. Fake it through this day, because I think that's what we try to do. You know.
Yeah, the bravado and
the ego and all the stuff we were kind of just talking about, right? wondering how the hell I got myself into this mess, and more importantly, how I'm going to get myself out of it. Dude, thank you. So straight up.
That's the another TV series I completely relate to. I relate a lot to TV because I still watch a lot of TV. I enjoy TV. It's a great escape for me, and it's a great time of reflection, whether it's King of Queens or Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
I love that show.
Or Seinfeld. You know, it's like, I did a schmucky thing. You know, like, I'm sorry, I did a schmucky thing. I'm a schmuck.
Right.
You know, I'll make it right.
Yeah. Can't take it with you is a big lesson I think I learned too, is because I still think there's times when I try to collect everything and think that things are going to make things all better, and somewhere down the line I've heard it a zillion times from family and friends and of course songs. Can't take it with you, baby.
King Tut tried, but it didn't work.
He failed also, right?
Yeah, he if anyone could have done it, he could have, and he failed miserably. That's unfortunately grave robbers.
Yeah, is it an American thing, or is it a human thing that we need to gather shiny stuff to show off to my neighbor and go, hey, look at my new shovel?
I'm like the worst person to talk to about it because I do it every day.
Yeah.
I mean, I now I have a store where I sell things, so now I'm like justifiably out.
Yeah, you lose all credibility, right?
Picking and hoarding and, you know, and making profit and like, but it's like, and then keeping the good stuff for myself.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, I watch hoarding and go, wow, you know, it's a little close for comfort, you know.
Can we turn the channel, please?
Yeah. But, you know, I don't know. I look at kind of, my justification is like, I'm kind of like the custodian of like our history. You know, I collect old cars, I collect old guitars, I collect just everything from jewelry to toys to advertisement to tools, whatever, you know, and some of it I sell, and I feel like, you know, I'm just keeping people from going to IKEA and buying you know.
So if we're the same age, were you collecting those really cool Hot Wheels and Matchbox
a little
cars?
Bit. I didn't do a whole lot of collecting as a kid, but
when you would see them, you'd go, man, if we could make a car look like that, or, you know, they'd have those old hot rods, right?
Sure, of course.
You know?
Yeah.
Kind of fun. Hey, Diamond in the Rough is another song I wanted to ask you about, because I think you're searching for answers in there, but the real big message, I think, is a message that I'm trying to understand is when you really feel like you're found by someone, when connection really happens. That's when maybe we feel like we have some sort of worth, when somebody else says, you mean something to me.
Well, when they can see something inside of you that you don't even really see yourself.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, or they can see your potential and your capabilities, but yet, you know, maybe you get in the way of letting those things shine through. Yeah.
So do we have to surround ourselves with people like that? Because you know